All right, call the meeting to order. Jen, would you do roll call, please?
Commissioner Corbin? Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Waldner?
Here.
Commissioner Thill?
Here.
Mayor Lindsay?
Here. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
Make a motion, we adopt agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under appearances, we have Todd Case from the First District Association, and with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Todd.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. It's that time every year, I'd like to come out and talk a little bit about the First Planning District in Watertown and our relationship with Lake County and the city of Madison, the other municipalities that we have here in Lake County, a little bit about the services that the district provides to our members. And usually just like to take a few minutes just to kind of do a quick overview of who the First District is and projects that we've been working on. So for the public that don't know, and for some of you that might not be completely aware, the First District is one of 6 regional planning and development districts located across the state. We have sister offices in Aberdeen, Pierre, Rapid City, Yankton, and Sioux Falls. We represent 11 counties and 75 communities in northeastern South Dakota. We were created through executive order back in 1971 by then Governor Frank Farrar. So we're kind of like government, but we're really not. I kind of liken us sometimes to like a chamber of commerce for local units of government. We're here to promote our members, their communities, and services. And basically, when we started in 1971, our mission is still very much the same, trying to improve the quality of life for those people that live here in our part of the state, and at the same time to be able to provide technical services to local units of government that sometimes don't always have the capacity to do those services on their own. As far as how we are funded, we basically have 3 income streams that come into our office. We have dues. The membership pays dues into our organization. Every county and every municipality with a population over 100 pays about 23% of our operating revenues. We use those dollars to leverage other state and federal grants. We also do some specific state and federal contract work. And so by getting that roughly a little over 50% of our budget comes from those sources, then fee-for-service work makes up the rest. And our fee-for-service work, we're able to provide fee-for-service work to our membership at rates less than you would find in the private sector, just due to the power of the collective that we have here. As far as how we are managed and governed, we have a 35-member governing body that's made up of 3 representatives from each county that we serve, plus the chairman of the Flanders Santee and Sisseton Wahpeton tribes. Here in Lake County, Roger Hageman is our county rep, Mayor Roy is our municipal rep, and Gene Hexum is our at-large member, and Gene also serves on our executive board with the governing body. The governing body meets 4 to 5 times a year, basically to provide us guidance. They approve our budget, they approve our work plan, and we just try to work with them to look at regional development issues throughout our area. As far as our staff, we have 13 individuals, 12 full-time, 1 part-time person that works in our office, over 190 years worth of cumulative experience. I'm sad to say, Roy, you maybe don't know, but Jan McNamara is going to be retiring here in our office. So we'll lose 42 years of experience just right there, but she's been our office manager for many, many years. I'll be with the district 23 years here in May. But very seasoned, doing a wide variety of services for our membership. Most of you are aware that we do, a lot of our work is in application preparation, whether those be grant and loan programs for community infrastructure type of projects, community improvement projects. If those projects get funded, then we help out with the red tape, because there really is no free money. There's always some sort of strings attached to it. Planning and research is a big part of what we do. I spent probably the first 15 years of my career with the district just doing a lot of work in planning and zoning, nuisance ordinance, capital improvements planning. Pick something with a plan or a study or a book report, we probably have done that for our membership. We also do some very specific technical work in areas of tax increment financing, geographic information systems. We have 3.5 people employed just in GIS in our office. It's an integral part of what we do, and we use GIS in everything, and every other other aspects of our office. Revolving loan funds within our office, we also have what's called the First District Development Company, 4 staff persons working with local lending institutions to provide capital for a variety of new and expanding businesses. We have our own loan portfolio. We're also a small business administration 504 certified development company. So somebody's looking for a 504 loan that's looking for up to $2 million over a longer period of time than you would find under conventional financing. We're able to assist in those efforts as well. And then we're always out talking about the different state and federal programs. There's so many things that we do that, I say this every year, that it's hard to quantify as far as what the return on investment it is. So what we try to do is we look at, well, how many dollars in outside federal and state funding were we able to assist our members in obtaining over the course of the last year. And again, we don't have this money. We know where it's at. We know where closets, where the money's at, and we just try to help as the conduit between the locals and the state and feds. But last year, we were able to help our members in their reinvestment efforts to obtain $21.8 million in grants and loans for a variety of public projects. Of that, $10.2 million was just in the form of grants. So if you take what our dues were and you divide that into the total amount of grant dollars that came into our area, about $42 for every dollar's worth of dues came back into the area, which is really a high watermark since 2009, which at that time would have been President Obama's stimulus program, when a lot of federal dollars were made available. And what that tells me is just that there are a lot of communities taking a look at their own infrastructure and programs and services and doing some reinvestment, and we're just happy to be able to help out with that. In Lake County, specifically, we take those numbers and break it out. It's roughly about $47 this last year. That's a lot of it because of what's going on here with the city of Madison and hooking up to Wilson Park Water. When we take a look at just since 2008, since I've been the director here in Lake County, about $18.80. Madison, again, we're looking here about a $35 return on investment annualized over the last 7 or 8 years. In some years, we might not do some specific work, but that's because you can't always keep investing every year. You gotta be taking a breather here and there. I wanna just briefly touch base specifically on some projects that have been going on here in Lake County. At the county level, we maintain the county's 911 GIS database. We also maintain some road centerline and address range databases, which is used for the ability to get people to and from your house in case of emergencies. We also worked with a county wage survey for all of the counties across the state of South Dakota, other planning districts. We did a wage survey on behalf of the County Commissioners Association, which helped counties take a look at what they're paying their individuals and benefits. This last year, we also assisted the Lake Madison Sanitary Sewer District in obtaining a state DNR loan for $482,000 for improvements to their systems. In Madison, this year, it's kind of, hopefully I can figure out how to make this thing work. Oh, there we go. Whoop. This year in Madison, we worked with the Big Sioux Community Water Project, Water Development District over there, and with the City of Madison to assist them in application work on consolidated grants and SRF loans to help the City of Madison. There was $2 million in grants. It was hard to figure out exactly how much was going to go to Madison. We split it down the middle and gave credit to Lake County and Madison for that $1 million there. We also worked with Linda Samuelson this last year at East River and them to find $250,000 to recapitalize one of their revolving loan funds that they go out and loan monies out to. The first district this last year was able to find a grant through Economic Development Administration for $66,000. That was a district-wide grant. I just divided it by 11 counties, and Lake County share was about $5,600. And what that does is helps us do planning activities for economic development. So those numbers there are very similar to what we saw in the PowerPoint presentation, but currently I know we have staff working with Mayor Roy on a flood buyout program for a piece of property through what's called the HMGP program. Also, we do work with the Lake Area Improvement Corporation in citing a variety of industrial development projects. A year or so ago, we assisted with the LAIC getting the industrial park certified ready. There's been some changes to that certified ready program, so Julia just texted me over the weekend, and we'll be going in with them to get some grant monies through Heartland to do some borings and get those properties recertified moving forward under the state street program. So bottom line, what it comes down to is that, and Chad periodically calls us, he's always quizzing us on planning and zoning issues and working with Muller in our office. And so realistically, it always comes back to, you just need to ask. If there's something that we can do for you, we will try. If we don't know how, if we figure out that maybe we wouldn't be the right ones doing it, we'll find somebody to help you do it, and try to get it done at the least amount of cost to you. Other than that, that's about all I really have to say, but we appreciate the relationship that we have here with Madison and Lake County, and look forward to another good year working together. So I'd be more than glad to answer any questions.
Very good.
Well, we've worked with you guys before on a couple things, you know, with Chad, and been happy with the results and stuff. So, I mean, I guess if anything, just keep us in mind for any grants and things that do come across your table, so that,
Boys usually, he's
so that
talking to
we're
me, and I
aware
usually
of them.
talked about that one project we were talking about before. I've been doing a little investigation on that too, but we'll be touching base soon. And I don't know if Chad, if anything, you know, that you guys are seeing.
Well, the only thing that we haven't looked at in quite a while was our update of our comprehensive plan. I believe you recommend update the whole plan every 10 years, but maybe 5 years do an interim update.
Yeah, that's something we could assist with. I know right now Luke has been finishing his working in Watertown, and that project is nearing completion, and we've been working in Brookings County and doing some land use planning there. There could be some things to take a look at different components of the plan itself. I know housing is a big issue here in Madison, like it is in many other places across the planning district, and maybe look at a way to encourage or to look at some sort of affordable housing component as being a portion of the land use plan would maybe be something we want to look at. Currently, I'm sitting on the mayor's task force in Watertown and Brookings, and we're looking at affordable housing, and I'm hoping whatever I can learn from those two communities, we can then turn around and replicate in other counties and other communities as well. So we know that that's really something that we want to be working on, because every one of our 75 communities is dealing with housing issues. And so,
Kenny Anderson in Sioux Falls, I visited with him on some of the things they're doing down there too.
and I know with your recently adopted, or you had a housing study done recently. And,
We did.
And there's some ideas in there. There's just some, everybody is taking a look at housing from a perspective of having to be something of a public-private partnership if we're looking at workforce development, because it's, the margins are too thin for what I would just call standard private contracting, going out and developing houses. Watertown, we can't find anybody to build a $145,000 house, and that's the price range that we need for single-family housing. We can get apartment housing constructed and make that work, but how do you find that $135,000 to $160,000 new house, which at the same time doesn't upset your existing housing market, but still allows some opportunities for workforce development housing to occur. And so there's a lot of different ideas going out there, so we think that that's something that we will be able to help assist. We're going, taking the mayor of Millbank and their city administrator to Aberdeen next week to meet with the Happy Homes people there to talk about how Aberdeen's approached affordable housing development in that community. So again, it's an education process for me, and we're just hoping that we can share that with our membership over time. So again, just get on the phone or send us an email or text, and we're more than glad to come down and talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about.
Very good.
Thank you.
Kelly, any questions at all?
No, thank you very much.
Thank
Bob?
you.
Okay,
Good
thank
to see
you.
again.
All right. Is there anything on the consent calendar that anyone I would want to remove?
Make a motion, we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Old business, hearing upon a petition for vacation of an alley, Kennedy's Extension, Town Proprietors, First Edition. Chad, do you want to address that?
Sure, I could say a few words briefly. This is the alley commonly known as the alley north of the parking lot for the Methodist Church. There was petitioners filed a petition to vacate that alley several weeks ago, and the date of hearing was set for tonight. This process, as I understand, is prescribed per state statute on how this has to go about, and the resolution making the vacation valid, I guess you could say, is included in the packet, and it refers to the required statutory language, and then also there's some easement language in there too. You may recall in the petition, there was some acknowledgement that an easement would likely be necessary, and we adopted some language similar to our easement language incorporated into this resolution. Otherwise, I can defer to try to answer any questions from any of the parties, or if
And
anybody
we
else
do
wants to
have
elaborate.
parties present,
Right.
you know, so, any questions at all?
Methodist?
Yes, and they have the things worked out, you know, amongst the neighbors and things,
And
so.
this is that, I think I might have asked this last week, but I'm really short term. Too many fastballs as a kid, you know? That property, is that decided how that will be split between the,
In this case, it will all be, it will go revert to the south, which is the church
Methodist.
parking lot property,
Okay.
yes. Mhm.
Okay. Very good.
And that's based on the original development of the plat for that area,
I thought.
so,
Are there infrastructure things that we need to take care of
under it.
under it?
We installed some underground cables a couple years ago, and so they are in place under the gravel alley right now, and so we'll maintain those and don't anticipate the earthwork, if there is much at all to happen there, to impact that. If anything, there'll probably be more fill placed on that area, so if that gets to be a problem, we'll let them know, and they should coordinate with us. And actually, the language is, Mr. Lawrence is the electric superintendent.
Yes.
Should be, we should be coordinating with him, because their electric facilities are what's under the alley.
But there won't be any need to remove those and redirect them? We'll still have access to them where they currently exist?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
No problems there.
Do we have a motion? Or we don't need a
We
motion,
don't need a
actually.
You don't, but if you would
Okay,
jump down to that
so what
resolution.
we're gonna do now is, under new business number 1 is the resolution. So we're gonna right now go to the resolution number 2016-4 for the vacation of the alley.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution number 2016-4, vacate an alley.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, hearing upon proposed ordinance 1582, amend Appendix B zoning. Chad, I'm going to ask you if you want to address this again?
Thank you. I can say a few words. This is the second reading and also a hearing. This was before you once as a first reading and also before the Planning Commission for their hearing to rezone property from highway business to R20 general residence of some property owned by Mr. Brian Kern. I've had nobody express any concerns since the last meeting, and Planning Commission recommended approval, and I would as well.
Questions or comments on that? Okay. And on this one, we don't have a second one down below for that one, so do we have a motion to acknowledge the,
Nope, your second reading, item number 3, please.
got it, right below it, all right. So we'll move to number 3, which is second reading of ordinance number 1582, amend Appendix B zoning.
Make a motion that we approve the second reading of ordinance number 1582, amend Appendix B zoning.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, and then under number 4, Jen, on the 215 annual
you.
report. Thank you. Oh, Brian, visit with him on transformer before he goes.
You'll have time, Brad. Jen's up.
This is gonna be short,
Thank
so
you.
isn't it? Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, that was going on. All right, last week of the 2015 annual report that you're going to get from me, tonight we're going to talk through the statement of cash flows, please. All of the other reports, gentlemen, that we have talked about have been on an accrual basis. This is the only report of our entire 49-page annual report that is on a cash basis, strictly showing our cash in and our cash out. Broken down into sections, follow along with me if you would. The first being the cash flows from operating activities. Those are your receipts from your customers and payments, along with the payments to your employees and suppliers. Next section is the cash flows from non-capital, pretty much your transfers in and out. Then we have the cash flows from the capital activities, contributions, assets, debt.
Kelly, you must have passed too much that
Can
way.
we pass one by here?
Right, no, it's right there, isn't it?
That's sales tax, we'll do that next, okay?
Yeah, you've already walked past me here.
Okay.
Got it.
Kelly, throw me
I'm sorry.
that.
Going down.
Well,
Three
that one I
deep.
got. The other one you didn't hand out.
That was part of your packet,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, right here.
Sorry,
In
we
the
didn't do that,
packet.
but
Okay.
that was part of your
Right.
packet.
All right, you're good.
It's shared commonly here, so, the confusion, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, are you with me? I'm
Yeah.
back on page 1
Yeah.
of the cash flow statement. I'm three-quarters of the way down to the net increase, decrease in cash, which is essentially, do you have more cash or less cash per fund than you started with at the beginning of the year? You'll see in a couple funds, we did generate some cash. I want to talk through those. That was our intent in a couple of these funds, okay? Primarily water and sewer. Keeping in mind that as we were working through the 2015 budget process and as we ended the year 2014, we had over $17 million in long-term debt with little or no designated reserves earmarked for any kind of infrastructure improvements. And we were having at the time some infrastructure concerns. So in the water fund, you'll remember that at the beginning of year 2015, we did away with that free 200 cubic feet of water that was included in the base rate. We began charging for that and then also increased rates by 3%. Bottom line is you can see that we generated almost $300,000 worth of cash in the water fund for year 2015. In the sewer fund, we increased our base rates. We did not adjust the volume fee, but because your sewer charges are based on your water consumption and doing away with that 200 cubic feet of free water every month, we anticipated that we would see those sewer revenues increase too. And they did, to the tune of about $232,000 in cash. Okay? That being said, we will be asking for these generated dollars to be moved into infrastructure reserves during the 2017 budget process. Talked at length with Commissioner Corbin about that this afternoon. To quote him, that's essentially moving our liquid assets into fixed assets, tucking some money away so that when we have some of these infrastructure issues come up, we've got 17 million in
Got something to
debt.
cover it.
Yes, we've got something to fall back on. Okay, that was the intent.
I'm sorry, Roy, what was your comment there?
When we have those, have
Oh,
an issue
same
that
thing,
comes up,
okay, yeah.
instead of running in the red, we have something to cover
I
it.
thought you mentioned the figure.
And then there's also, some updates that need to be done down the road.
Thank you.
Okay, so you will hear with that as one of our initial 2017 budget requests, is tucking that money away before we get into the budget process, too deep into our expenses and such, okay? In the electric fund, we had a 2.7% rate increase. We also didn't, in year 2015, realize the purchase power and transmission expenses that we had budgeted. Therefore, we were able, at the end of 2015, to pay off $705,000 more in principal on one of our long-term debt loans, and then also ended up with a little bit of a cash balance there too. Moving to the right, to the community center, a negative $24,000, that is simply expense over revenue. Have talked to Aaron about that. Not a whole lot of detail there, just simple expense over revenue. The same is true for the solid waste fund, but there we have revenue over expense. You will see though, in the past years and also this year, we're going to need some of that revenue to cover the negative in the recycling center fund. Your ending balances there absolutely tie out to your December investment report, cash and designated cash balances. So once again, strictly cash. If you have no questions, let's talk quickly through some sales tax numbers that I have passed out. That's the legal sheet here. We're gonna work from the bottom up on this one if we can, please. Start with me in year 2013. You'll see that the total sales tax that we generated was $3,141,000. Year 2014, we generated $3.3 million in sales tax revenue. It was an increase of $180,000 over year 2013 for an increase of about 5.7%. Comparing that to year 2015, $3.3 million, another $3.3 million, however, a little bit less. So an $11,000 difference from 2015 to 2016, so a drop of about 0.4% in our total sales tax revenue for year 2015. And then you can see 2016 thus far. We are down after 2 months worth of collections. I'm not gonna get nervous about it yet, but we're down about $40,000 this year after 2 months as opposed to next year, or excuse me, as opposed to last year. But if you do take a look at January of last year, that was up 6.44%. So we had a pretty good January last year. Down a little bit from that this year. February is a little concerning. We only collected $209,000 in February. It's been, if you track that on down through February, we've never had that little collections in February. We'll definitely keep our eyes on this. My first.
We even had an extra day.
We did.
We did,
Good
yes,
point.
that's right.
Good point. Didn't help us, did it?
No.
We declare that all spending.
Yeah.
I'm in receipt of my first 21 days in March, and that is substantially down too. But we're gonna get through the first quarter, see where we're at after the first quarter. If I need to dig into it a little bit more, I can get some more spreadsheets and stuff and see if we can pinpoint why it's down and if there's a specific, is it retail, is it grocery store, is it, what is it? You can get some reports as to, see if we can find what is down. Okay, I will keep you posted. If you have any questions, certainly let me know, but
What are other cities seeing? I mean, is it statewide? Is it just Madison?
it depends on where you're at. I can send you the report that I print out on a monthly basis. Some are up, some are down. But again, when we say up, down, we're always comparing to last year at this time.
Yeah.
Which is maybe a little deceiving depending on where you were at last year at this time.
2013 looks like it was up, at the very bottom, it was up 10.32 in January. Is that correct?
Yes.
Over
So-
12.
Over 12, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
A little bit concerning because we've been on a roll
We have, and maybe.
Well,
for
we'll
many
just-
years, for
I know, we
probably
got a little-
8-10 years.
Mhm.
So,
So again, we'll just keep our eyes on it. I will continue to report to you. We'll keep on top of it
And one of the
continue to monitor.
things, you know, that is not necessarily gonna help us this year is the Highway 34 construction that's coming through because it's affecting the grocery store, the Dairy Queen, all the way down, you know, everybody along that route. So,
Yep.
you know, we'll just have to see how that works, but everybody's gonna have a difficult time getting in and out. So hopefully people, you know, still come,
yep.
so.
So if you have any other questions, you did just receive these tonight, but take a closer look at them if you want, and let me know if you have any other questions.
then were you gonna go proprietary next?
We're done.
All right,
We're done.
Do you need a motion on that?
What's
Do we
that?
have to
Need a motion on
acknowledge
that?
that, or
No,
we
please.
can just move on?
Just
Nope,
move on.
just move on. All right,
Thank you.
One more comment, if I can then, please. All of these financials are posted out on the website. I'm also posting, as they're coming to me, as I am able, also the departmental reports, okay? So in the next week or so, I should have everybody's report and everything posted. And then I'll link it to the homepage, and everything will be there. We'll bind it in a book this year, too.
okay,
All right? Thank you.
all right.
Thank you.
Number 2, bid number 846, approved specifications and set bid date, construction of underground electric primary, secondary service, and street lighting circuitry. Chad or Brad, whichever one wants to start out or
I can say a
address.
few words, and then Brad can fill in the blanks where I left them.
Okay.
This is the installation component of our, what we've come to have as an annual project for upgrading our electric system. We've coordinated with DGR on the development of these. It generally involves an area in the northeast part of town, not far northeast, but actually just west of, just east of Washington Avenue for a couple blocks there, and primarily north of Fifth Street, between Fifth and Ninth. That's a general area between Roosevelt and Washington, and between Fifth and Ninth. This also includes some work on the installation of some of the poles downtown as well for this project. So the bid date was requested as April 19th at 2 p.m. And I kind of was really vague there. Anything else that, we're going to be working in some backyards, I guess, this year, between 5th and 6th, between Roosevelt and Washington, there's no alleys between that, so there'll be some backyards. We're confirming easements, we're getting easements. I believe the electric department will be sending out some letters to landowners, so they won't be surprised. A lot of those areas will be boring, though, so we'll try to keep the disturbance minimal. Now there's an overhead, and that's not the only place that's overhead, that there's backyards with work with no alleys, but that's an example of one. So, anything else you want to add, Brad, that I may have left out?
No, it's about a 17-block area. We are lucky that there are some areas that are, the existing cable is the new variety, the style that we're putting in now. And so we'll be able to reuse that cable and not have to replace the primary cable, but we will be in, quite a few places replacing the secondaries. But we're gonna be, changing the transformers and stepping up the voltage to the higher voltage as part of this process. So there'll be that. We'll just more or less be a transformer swap and then switching them over. There are areas that are gonna have to take the overhead to the underground and again, increase the voltage to the new distribution voltage. So it's about a 17-block area there, and then I think there were 34 light poles and lights for the Egan upgrade. So
We're also offering that joint trench opportunity to the foreign utilities. The idea is to eliminate all the poles in the alleys and in the backyards so that we're all underground, so that it will be a continued process to what we've done in the past.
Very good. Questions or comments?
Pretty straightforward, obviously, you gotta get in the people's backyards, and there's no alleys, I know exactly where you're talking about, so, but it's all part of the electrical upgrades in our town, and I went through it last year and last summer, and the guys did a good job. It's, got rid of the wires and the overhead and took care of it, so it's part of the upgrades.
Very good. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve bid number 846, approve specifications and set bid date for construction of underground electric, primary, secondary services, and street light circuitry. And do we need to set a bid date
Set date.
for
April 19th,
April 19th,
2 p.m.
2 p.m.?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Bid number 847, approve specifications and set a bid date for the decorative street lighting. And again, I'll ask Brad or Chad, whichever one would want to start first.
This is for the downtown lights, the luminaire heads, and then the poles, to have a few different options of each provided. And then the commission or a citizen group can look at those in conjunction with us to compare prices and make the decision on which options we'd like to go with. We've already consulted with a citizen group to narrow that list down already, and so this is a furnished material bid, basically. Anything else, Brad?
And a bid date for that is?
Same day, April 19th at 1:30.
Think you're gonna be done in a half hour?
So,
I think
We have
so.
a flood of bids, you never know.
We should get through them.
Do you use the term finished bid, what? That last thing you said?
Furnish.
Furnish.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just for furnishing the materials.
And let's see, we'll put that on.
There's two
We'll do
parts to
it.
this one also. There will be a construction part for the bases.
Okay.
And so the city crew will come in, do the removal of the existing lights, contractor come in, put in the bases, and then the city crew will come in and put in install the lights that were furnished, by the vendors,
Okay.
whichever we select.
Thank you.
I
Other
had-
questions?
I had talked to Brad earlier on today, and I asked him if there was any plans, like 5, 7 years down the road, redoing our sidewalks, and then we'd have to rebid some new lighting or anything. He said he sees no future, because if we're gonna have to spend money on rebidding stuff because some group won't like these lighting, that's just a waste to the taxpayers. But do you foresee anything in the future of that, Chad?
You're talking in the reworking in the downtown or
Yeah.
reconstruction of the
Yeah.
downtown? No, we talked about that pretty early on in the process, is now the right time? Are we gonna need to redo the road, or any components to the road in the next 10, 15 years? And nobody had anticipated that at that time. And, with the condition of the poles that the mayor has talked about many times, some of them falling, and we thought this is an appropriate process to undertake at this time. And hindsight's always 20/20, we can't, but we don't have any plans to reconstruct it.
Thank you.
The citizen group that you used, was that by
The,
consumers or business persons on Main Street, or?
Bulldog Media, they've been active in taking care of the lighting now, staining the poles, and been an active partner already, as I understand.
Okay.
And so they showed an interest, they reached out to us and asked if they could be involved, and so we did involve them.
Very good. Thank you.
Hey, any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we set bid lighting for 847 at April 19th at 1:30 for the specifications of the decorating street lighting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 4, appoint the election board. Jen, I'm going to ask you to address this one.
Actually, 2 boards is what the city will have this year. We're gonna mix things up a little bit. You're used to going into the polling place and going to Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3. We're going to change that up this year, and we're going to actually vote per your last name alphabetically. So with the assistance of the county auditor, she'll break the alphabet in about half based on our registered voters. You'll go to table 1, which will be our first board here, based on the last letter of your last name, and/or table 2, and then we'll also have a rule table. So
The last letter or the first letter of your last name?
first letter of your last name. What did I say?
Last letter of your
Last letter, last name.
That'd be difficult, wouldn't it? Sorry. I knew what I meant.
Alright, cool. This is gonna be fun.
Mix them up.
How about the first letter of
You
your
might have to
last
move up on
name?
the alphabet.
Yeah, no doubt, I move up a little bit,
Yeah, but you're still in the same.
but I'm still way back there.
You and Maple spot.
Yeah, there you go.
So that being said, we've got six election ladies that I would like you to appoint as our election board for the municipality. Mitch will be doing the same on his end for his rural board.
Okay.
Okay?
Questions at all?
Pretty rough characters you got again.
They are great little ladies. We
Yes,
couldn't do
they-
this without them. They
They
know
do
their
a nice
stuff.
job, yeah.
Yes, they do.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to appoint the election board is presented to us.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no announcements, no
Yes,
executive
there is an
session?
announcement. I have one announcement, please.
Yes,
If you
sir.
would, Your Honor.
Oh.
Mr. Mayor, Chairman. Just a reminder that we have electronic recycling coming up Saturday, September 23rd, at the Recycling Center. If you're looking for a list of items that are accepted and those that are not accepted, you can get that through the Public Works. So also a reminder that this is not for businesses or rental property managers, government entities, which leaves the city out, okay? No nonprofit organizations and no schools, but that's coming up, okay?
Very
Good
good.
opportunity.
And then as long as you said that, election is April 12th.
Yes, sir.
April 12th. So, all right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Very good.
Thank you.